So folks, as you can probably tell the moment you start watching this video, there's a problem with it. But this is because yours truly started monkeying around with some of the sound settings and apparently did not put the chat from Discord coming into the correct audio channel or some such. So the majority of this video is basically just me talking with no sound coming from Discord chat whatsoever, so you cannot hear what's going on with the guys. Doofus. But nevertheless, the whole purpose of this YouTube channel is mostly as an archive for my videos so that they can be referenced later on, which is especially useful for my players because now that we've switched to 2nd edition rules, they need to be able to reference previous episodes. So it's kind of doing double duty now. But for those of you who do actually follow the videos, and thank you very much if you do, this one is gonna be a weird one because, well, like I said, it's just me. But rather than not stick the video up and leave a gap, I'm going to include it anyway. And if you really feel that it's just too weird having just me and the background audio going on with no input whatsoever from any of the players chatting, then feel free to skip right to the end if you do want to know what the basic summary of events was for the episode. I will include the timestamp there. If you want to do that, skip straight to the end where I summarize the events of the episode. And yeah, oh well. I'll do better next time, I suppose. Live and learn. Live and learn. Anyway, if you are watching this, thanks for watching, and yeah, hopefully we'll do better next time.
It is not the ship that bends, it is merely yourself.
Oh no.
There's no ship, it's a token on a 2D VTT. The only place any of this exists is inside your minds, and mine, as it turns out.
Cavall sees all, just like Santa.
That's why when you put Cavall into Samson, you can take down a Navar-class battleship.
I said Santa, not Samson.
Well, I heard Samson, so there you go. It's like taking away Cavall's antennae. You would make him that much weaker.
Not the antennae.
Okay,
especially the antennae.
It's 7 o'clock, so we are in the streaming zone. So, just for benefit, remember we have turned over to 2nd edition rules. So, Mike, I think you're the only one who wasn't around last time to do a not-so-brief overview of what was changed, but overall, if there's one thing we all need to keep in mind for the new edition, it's character logs. Character logs are everything.
You had introduced that before I left.
Yes, and that's the reason why I introduced it before you had a break, which was...
You knew I was going to get COVID? Thanks for letting me know.
I wish
the Game Master knows everything.
I wish I did, then I'd know when it... I wouldn't have been able to get COVID last week either, or was it 2 weeks ago, pardon me. My COVID senses are obviously complete trash.
Or they're just 2 weeks out of sync, so you get everyone else's COVID but your own. You can't have all the superpowers.
That's a shame. I try. In any case...
We find out it can be transferred via VTT. Or is that the next pandemic?
Digital virus.
Well, that's me finished then, if it goes via VTTs. The amount of time I spend on these things. In any case, yes, before we switched over to 2nd edition, I was asking you guys to note down in character logs when you use values. and which values. Because in 2nd edition, your ability to advance your character or even change numbers about is now contingent on your character's values. So whenever a value is either used positively, negatively, or even challenged in some fashion, note it down in your character log to say that it did so that in any future occasions where you believe a value will be affecting your character's outlook of a situation, and it's especially if it calls back to a previous episode, and therefore this value, as used in a previous episode, is influencing your character's behavior now, that's going to be something you need to keep track of as well as a callback. So basically, lots of tracking of values, not just when you spend determination.
I thought this was game night rather than math sim.
It's not a math sim. It's just there's a bit more of an onus on you, the players, now to keep your character's personal logs so that you can note when your character uses or your character's values come up. Essentially.
But I don't want it.
Well, you know, that's entirely your prerogative. Obviously, if people do get if they do think that this rule stinks and they would rather go back to the previous way of doing it, that's fine. We can do that. At the moment, we're trying out 2nd edition, so if folks think certain things don't work or they want to go back to the old version of doing it, then I will go with what people want to do. But for now, let's give it a go and see how we do. So, I am just going to throw us briefly over now to our intro video before we get cracking with this episode proper. So to do so, I'm going to turn off the ship rumble and plinky plunky going on in the background, and we will be back in a couple of moments, folks. Don't go away. And we're back. Welcome, folks, to the continuing adventures of the USS Navis. I'm MJ the GM, and I will be your games master for the next couple of hours. And with me are the entirety of the crew of the USS Navis. And Jan was just saying he'd managed to see both seasons of Strange New Worlds, which I approve of immensely. I think it's great. Best Trek there's been in some time, I think. Okay, yeah, musical episodes are not to everybody's taste. I liked how they did it, though. I like how they did it. Pulled it off nicely. Yeah. Why are we singing? Yes, that was great. I understand that. Musicals aren't my favourite thing either, so it's not for everybody. Klingon opera style. So opera with subtitles. The Klingon K-pop was just funny because it was the same guy who played Hemmer. Lord rest his soul. Bring back Hemmer. Never mind. any case, we're probably wondering about what we do for today's episode. So, just for a recap for those who weren't here or those who don't remember, new security measures have been implemented on Narendra Station as a result of the increasing tensions with the Dominion and having to look out for shapeshifters. But this hasn't been popular with everybody, particularly the civilian population of Narendra Station, who were putting on a protest against these new, more draconian security measures. Whilst this protest was going on, tempers began to flare. Of course, an empath like Nova was picking up on this and actually laid out one of the Starfleet security who tried to bar her path. But not long after that, whilst everybody was trying to hold Nova back from finishing the job she started, the security office exploded. And it turns out that it was a prison break, because recently these new security measures had managed to catch a Starfleet officer, a Lieutenant Ferguson, if I recall. Let me just get his name up. Was it Ferguson? Yes, Carl Ferguson was caught sending coded messages out to the Orion Syndicate. So he was apprehended. But the prison break, according to the security footage that Lieutenant Edwards and Commander Thazanan managed to get from the remnants of the security office on Narendra Station, showed that there were Orions breaking out the prisoners in the security area. And since then, the broken out prisoners and the Orions who busted them out have gone through these service tunnels of the station, whereupon a small group of our crew managed to track some of them down and engaged in active hostilities, testing out basically the new combat rules. So if we just check that out, I don't think we were entirely through that combat, were we? So we have got that to finish off. So, unless folks have got any questions, comments, concerns, or whatever, things that I might have missed or forgotten, or points that they've forgotten that they need me to remind them of. Yes. One of these syndicate hackers, these strange chameleonic reptilian species that the Orion Syndicate seemed to like to employ, was trying to break into some kind of console. So I'm going to throw us over to the map where we were at within the service tunnels. So a moderate-sized security team featuring the Doctor and Lieutenant Edwards were in the service tunnels, whilst Commander Vibers and Lieutenant Ori had gone back to the Navis in order to try and help coordinate medical teams going off of the Navis to respond to the civilians who'd been injured by the blast, and of course engineering teams who needed to help with clearing such debris, but also security measures locking down the Navis in order to prevent anyone trying to board whilst all this chaos is going on. So the Navis is on full security alert, Narendra Station is on full security alert, and Captain Andrews and a team of a few of her crew had found some Orions up to no good in the service tunnels. So, with that in mind, let's go into the next round of combat. So, you missed it. We missed it. Never mind. So, yes, the situation is we've got Nova and Andrews engaged in unarmed combat with a pair of Orions who do seem to have that sword emblem tattooed on their faces, which suggests they're not part of the Orion Syndicate. They're actually part of the Taan faction of Orions. And Dr. Bertram had actually come up with an ingenious method of trying to stop the Syndicate hacker from breaking into the console by throwing moss. So that's hopefully stymied that guy's efforts. Looks like he's looking to make a break for it either way. So we start this next round of combat with whoever of you guys wants to start us off. So either Nova or Andrews would make sense due to them being locked in hand-to-hand combat with a Taan soldier. Oh, yep. Okay, of course, there's always Thazanan if he wants to try and use the sound weapon again, or Edwards if he wants to try and lend some assistance in some fashion. That is something that I should have brought up last time, actually, which is a good point. If someone at some point feels that their character wants to contribute something to somebody else's efforts, they can. You can still aid somebody else's combat. You essentially give up your turn, acting on your turn, to help someone else on your team, basically, with their either their attack or their defense. So just because your character's not necessarily all that good at combat doesn't mean you still can't help in some fashion. So there's always options for that. So who would like to start? I'm gonna go with who's at the top then, which appears to be Nova. So Sean, looks like you're up. Stick with the classics. Okay, so hand-to-hand combat, if we remember, works a teeny weeny bit different in that it is now basically an opposed task. So this guy is going to oppose by rolling 2 successes. So that's what Nova needs to beat in order to actually land a shot now. So this guy's got a knife out. And that's 3 successes. So there we go. Nova wins. Which means that you get to roll your unarmed combat. Or unarmed strike damage. Now you got 1 over what you needed. You can either add that to its set amount of damage. Yep, so it's 2. But you did get 1 over what you needed, which means you can either throw that into the momentum pool or add it to your damage. Cool beans. So he has got... This guy has got stress, which they can use to avoid injury. But rather than just 2, you forced him to use 3, so he's ducking and weaving and bobbing his head out of the way, just barely keeping out of Nova's reach. So that's all good. Does Nova want to reposition herself anywhere, or is Nova good where she's at? Right then. So unless somebody is spending momentum to keep the initiative, this is now round 2. Going once. Going. Let them have a go. Okay, so who am I going to do? Let's go with, well, the one that Nova's fighting against. So, he is still using the protect action here. If I can find it. Guard, rather, I should say. And that is a major action. So he seems less concerned with himself, more concerned with making sure this hack gets away. So he is going to use these major action to use guard, insight and security on the hacker, and he gets 2 successes. I needed difficulty of 0, so I got 2 for that. Boink, boink. So anyone that tries to attack the hacker has now got the difficulty increased. Alright, one of you guys can go next. So we've still got Andrews, we got Thazan, we got Edwards, or we got Bertram. Okay, so... Yep, okay. Activating Cabal Thazanan. As far as I'm made aware, you have encountered these guys before, and therefore you have captured at least one in the past. So if Pazadan wants to use his minor action to retune the sound gun to affect the hacker, you absolutely can. You can still have... Sorry, go on. Okay, cool. Now, one thing I should have remembered to do, and I'm going to do it again now. For 2nd edition, we do have that lovely, lovely reference sheet. It is still up there somewhere, but I am going to recopy the link anyway and bung it in Discord so you've all got easy access to it. And yeah, so grab the momentum if you need to. The Taan soldiers can, the Orion Taan soldiers can still be affected by the sound gun. They'll just take less from it than the other guy that's actually attuned for. Right, there's a complication in there. Legion of Honor. How many does that leave you with now? I think that's like 1. Oh dear. All right then. 1 success overall. You needed 2 in order to affect a target. So you have actually got 2 determination, even though folks start with 1. You had a problem with the new security measures, or rather Caval had a problem with the new security measures, and therefore gained an extra point of determination. As a result, you can use that to re-roll your results if you really want, and thereby regain your Legion of Honor. Okay, so recall your Legion of Honor then, because you may as well re-roll the 18 and the 20. And of course remember to note that you are using one of your values. Now, I don't know, challenge accepted seems to be a good value. Oh, and by the way, for the purposes of noting down in your logs, this is episode 45, the Orion Heist. Indeed. I didn't reveal that last time because of, well, meta reasons. If you do want the stardate, I will post that now. Just make sure I've got no one. Bump, bump. So, you re-rolled and got 2 successes, so that's 3 overall. So you can either put that momentum into extra damage, or you can throw it into the momentum pool as per usual. Okay, so go for the sound gun. Let's see how much we got. Actually, if I remember, upping damage is actually 2, so that's a mistake I've made. So we'll keep it to 1 for now, because that's an error on my part. First edition rules. All damage appears to now be fixed. But it is area and debilitating. So what that means is... area, when you succeed in an attack, additional targets in the same zone can be hit by spending a momentum for each additional target you want to get. If you want to, you can either try, yep, 1 additional target. Anyone in particular you want? Okay, nice. So, 3 means that they're going to use 3 stress to try and avoid an injury here, which this guy can do. Now, the Taan soldier takes less as a result, but he's only got 1 stress left, which means that he does have damage left over, so he does suffer an injury. And because he's an NPC, that means he is out for the count. So he is defeated. Defeated, not dead. Yes, exactly. Exactly. So stun obviously means it's this is a non-lethal weapon. It cannot do lethal damage, so he is stunned and down area. We've already discussed that. Debilitating means that any injuries caused by this weapon is more difficult to treat. But it also has opportunity 2 and two-handed, the opportunity cost, two-handed, all of that. Lovely jubbly. Done and done. Alright, so you've knocked out at least one of the Orion soldiers. The hacker had to avoid injury by basically putting the Orion in his way of the sound cannon, but other than that, you have done your job and eliminated one. Actually, Cavall can't move. He uses minor action to, unless you want to spend a point of momentum to use another minor action to move. I don't see why. Yeah. So, we are going to actually now go for the hacker, and he is going to engage his chameleonic skin. He's going to make a break for it. One of you can go next. Who's it going to be? We can still have Andrews try and take out this Taan soldier. Indeed. Indeed. If somebody wants to take their turn and try and track that guy using thermal signature, then now would be a good time to do it. So, okay, Bertram, we're activating the Bertram. Nice, nice, nice. So you are essentially using a tricorder. So this is going to be control and medicine. I'm going to say this is going to be difficulty 1. Not impossible, but he is trying to be stealthy about it, so... Absolutely. Yep, yep. Good plan. 2 successes on the money. Okay, yep, so... there's a thermal reading. It's starting to diminish as he's getting further and further away, but definitely heading down that northern tunnel. Going as seemingly as fast as he is able. You still have a minor action that you are capable of to move into another zone, which is basically this room here. If you wish to do that, or you can use the minor action to do something else. Yes, that would be a good one. I will say that you can, if you want to, you can use your minor action to do that instead, rather than move. So you're basically transmitting the thermal data. Nice. Okay. Which means that it's now the Taan soldier's turn. He's engaging Andrews. He's using his knife. Andrews is aware of him, and therefore, Webby, if you could roll me daring and security with your focus on advanced hand-to-hand combat as basically the challenge he has to get over in order to see if he can hit. Right, so you got 1 success. Let's see how he does. Are you alright with that, or do you want to leave it at that? Okay, let's see. Daring and security. He's swinging with a knife. I'm good with what he's got at the moment, so he also gets 1 success, so he doesn't manage to get past Andrews' guard. She's too good. Does Andrews want to go now? Alright. Entirely up to you. Your decision to. He has been, yeah, definitely trying to ruin your outfit. You know, for all the for all the ribbing that you give Thazan on a regular basis of scratching the ships, this guy is trying to actively give you a cut along your uniform. So you never know; you might not live it down. So once again, if you wish to engage this fellow in hand-to-hand combat, then it is now a resisted contest. It's a contested task. He rolls 2 successes, so that's what you have to get over in order to, or on or over to get him. Which means I got that wrong again. Now what the man. Let's see what we got. 3 successes, 1 over what you needed. So once again, that extra 1 can be put into extra damage, or it can be thrown into the momentum pool. Cool. Now, let me check something. Momentum spends. Yeah, it's actually 2 momentum, but for the moment I'll keep it to 1. Because that's what I've been saying so far. So, extra there goes for 3, which means he has to use stress to avoid injury, so he's just about barely ducking out of the way of these shots as they come swinging at him. But I haven't been able to get him yet, which means the only one left is, unless Andrews wants to use a minor action to reposition herself somewhere. Certainly possible. For next turn, obviously. Certainly possible. This could be a good example of an assisted combat, if you want to do that. Which means, in that case, we move on to Edwards. Edwards is the only one left to act. Dr. Bertram has been feeding folks data on where the hacker might have disappeared off to, leaving thermal trace. So what would Edwards like to do with his turn? Okay. That's going to be difficulty 2. He's not got any cover, so it's difficulty 2. Yes, please. It's a phaser. Or are you using the sound gunner? Are you using the sound gun? Then, no, it's not experimental anymore. We established this. It is now standard issue. That's pretty good, actually. That's 2. Right on the money. It's right on the money. So that's 3 damage. If you want, I can basically tell you now that if you want to incapacitate him, you're going to need 1 more point of damage. So if you want to up it, basically spend a point of momentum and you can knock him out now. Okay. Then that is done. 4 damage. Means he has to use 4 to escape, which means he is out. Stress is gone. He can't take any more. Down he goes. Okay. You are... Let's end that combat. Yes, yes, yes. Now is a good time to go after the other dude, indeed. But just as you are setting yourself off to do so, you get a... well, actually, one of you gets a chirp on the comm badge, and that would be... Caval.
Caval, it's Shore. Get to the offices now. They're trying to break through the doors.
Okie dokie. Da-da-da-da. Sure, sure, sure. Yeah, if you alter the tricorder to try and scan, you're basically giving yourself a trait, an equipment trait. Essentially. Now, meanwhile, back on the bridge of the Navis, we have Commander Vibers and, of course, Lieutenant Orion, who've been left pretty much in charge of everything going on here. Excuse me. Well, that's up to you. So, you've basically got the choice of, I imagine at this moment you guys are probably monitoring communications so that you know, after the big explosion went off, Orion Vibers came back here to the Navis to try and use the ship sensors to keep an eye on what's going on. And you've certainly just tracked the evidence of weapons fire and stuff that went off in the service tunnels. And as a result, you've now probably got pings of Thazanan and whoever else is going to go off with him going one way towards the co-head offices, and whoever else is trying to track down the hacker fugitive is proceeding in the direction that appears to be going towards the operations center. So what you two guys would like to do to assist any of this is entirely up to you. If anything, of course. Because... well, that is a very good point. The station security have basically had their base of operations destroyed, and they've since been using most of their officers to cope with all the injured civilians, and then of course keeping the area around the bombed security office secure. There are other station security officers posted hither and yon about the place, but of course most of them were in the Galleria when the security officers exploded. So we are operating on somewhat diminished capacity at the moment. You did, Vipers did put in a command action saying that basically post guards on every entry point to the ship. Yes, indeed. In fact, if I can get Lieutenant Orion to give us a control and medicine check with I mean, I suppose we'll get you, Navis, to do this other bit, which is basically do the ship assisting. If you know where to find the ship. So, if you want to find the ship, you should find it in the actors directory. under USS Navis Crew and Ships, 2nd edition, ships. So the ship will be using sensors and medicine. And remember, this is a key thing now. From now on, whenever the ship assists with a roll, you always treat the ship rolling as if it had focus. So when you do perform task, even though you're only 1 dice, always check using focus. We always treat the ship as if she is rolling with focus. And oh blimey. So Mike, if you could have Ori roll us control and medicine with... Ooh. Well, I'm thinking more actual computers as your focus, since you're basically using external sensors to look at what's going on at Narendra Station at this moment. So with 2 from the Navis and 1 from Ori, 3 successes, which gives you a boost over what I was going to ask. Ori manages to detect, using some of the thermal data that Bertram has been feeding to other members of the away team. Ori manages to get a line on that feed, and you can see that there are a number of heat signatures who are moving in the direction of the operations center of Narendra Station. And there are a fair few of them. So, with that information, who is going to the co-head offices? I imagine, of course, Thazanan is, to help Shorai and possibly Admiral Hebert. Not to mention the fact that General Kargan and his assistant are in there too. So who's going to the operations center and who's going with Thazanan to the co-head offices? That's interesting, actually. Yeah, that's a very, very good point. All right, we'll do that. We'll send Keth. Anyone else going with them, or is it just those 2? So that means Andrews, Edwards, Nova. Is Bertram going with? As far as the operations center attack is concerned? Gareth, come in, Gareth. Yeah, I can hear you now. Okay, so that's basically the same one as Nova, Edwards, and Andrews. Okay. Alex, Webby, and Sean, are you all good with being posted to the Operations Center rescue attempt? Awesome. Right then, let's do that. You... Okay, let's send a Claude. It means that Vipers has to make do with Jean as tactical officer, but we won't hold that against him. Okay, so let me just post the people we want to the places we want to send them to. Up to you. But bearing in mind, go on, Jan. That's a good point, actually. So, which... That is a good point. We didn't send any of your supporting characters off into the service tunnels. we're activating Claude, so that's 1. And Keth, that's of course. So that's your second supporting character. You've got 4 remaining that you could use in this episode. But that's... Of course he's on the crew list, I'm just saying that. Is he not? Where is Mr. Monoko? Oh, I know why. It's because he actually counts as generic officer. There we are. I use generic officer as the template with which to just give Mr. Monoko because he hasn't been used at all. So if we want to actually... If we want to use Mr. Monoko more often, then I can absolutely put him into action now if you really, really want. Right, let's do this. Oh, what is the name of the species? Let me find... Where did we put him? We put him in the, No, I'm doing it now! You asked for it! You asked for it, I'm already in process of doing it. I am doing it. You want it? You got it. Right, Mr. Monoko uses this template. He is using this image. I can't... All right, Mr. Monoko. Right, Mr. Monoko, where does he come from? I've now moved him down the list, so where are the M's? There he is. Why do we not have... Let's try that again. Come on. Right, so the image we're using is that. Pass over to this, which means I can now make a token. Apply. Star Monoko. Link actor data. Right, let's do this again. So this is the actual Mr. Monoko now. Let's throw him in here. Is that one linked? That's linked. That works. Excellente. I will come back to his exact specifications later, but for now... Alright, alright. I just can't remember his species name. The guys with the 3 arms. Andorian, Aquanabazan, Akarian, Aurelian? Nope, that's these bird guys. Betasaur, Bonian, Caton, Denobin, Edosian. Actually, Edosian. Yes, that's the one. Edosians. Thank goodness for lists. Right, he does not have a rank. He has no rank. He is a civilian. And now we gotta give him 3 focuses. Right, off you go, guys. Nice try. I'm going to put drinks. Right, good listener, drinks. One more focus. Brewer. Let's just call them contacts in quotes. There we are. So, civilian, Edosian, barman. There we are, we have a Mr. Monoko. You're totally not sorry, man. You are absolutely not sorry. But now you've used another crew support point, so there we are. Mr. Monoko is now looking just as perplexed as Engineer Keth usually does. What? Alright, so, just as a final note then, Caval is taking Keth in order to head off whatever's going on at the co-head offices. Mr. Monoko is coming along with Andrews and Edwards and Nova, Bertram and Claude to go to the operations center. Okie dokie. Okay, so that's one team. Let's get the other team. And in the meantime, Vibers and Ori are still going to be keeping an eye on things on the ship. Excellent. Okay. Alright then, so let's first move to the co-head offices. So after hearing that rather troubling communication from Shore, the Admiral Hebert's assistant, Caval takes Keth and Claude in order to get to the co-head offices, and when they get there, the first thing they see is the fact that the doors to the offices have been blown open, probably by weapons fire, and upon entering, the first thing that they do, of course, is go in probably with weapons raised, ready to take on whoever's in there. As soon as they do, Admiral Hebert kind of gets up from the side of the sofa she's on with her phaser rifle trained, and Shore just kind of retreats back a bit behind, but tries to also cover General Kargan's aide as she levels a hand phaser in the direction. But of course, both Hebert and Shore relax as they see who has actually come through the door, which of course leaves Caval, Keth, and Claude to see that there are a number of dead Orions here. But it does look like General Kargan and his assistant Roba are both down as well. So, what would you like to do? No, but General Kargan and his assistant Roba need urgent medical aid. All right. I will say that since you're basically sending them to get medical assistance in your sick bay, Oh yeah, if you want Ori to do it, then, you know, you can send him send Ori to sickbay, so that's no problem at all. Okay. In which case we have
Stand by for transport.
in which case we have General Kargan and his aide Roba go as they get beamed away. Now we'll deal with Ori dealing with the medical situation there, as Admiral Hebert and her assistant Shorey both approach the team who have come to assist them. So, of course, Shorey sends a kind of a couple of antennae twitches, which is, you know, basically Andorian sign language for "Are you okay?" Could have been better, obviously. Bit frightening there for a moment, but if it hadn't been for General Kargan, and she looks over at Admiral Hebert, who nods. The General and I were having a conversation when those, and she gestures to the Orions, those guys just burst in. I needed time to get my phaser. Kargan, being a Klingon, of course, already had his weapon on him. He and his assistant Roba took the majority of the fire that came our way, which gave Shorey and I time to find our weapons and seek cover. By which point the General and Roba had already been full of holes, but being Klingons, they're tough. So the fact that you responded as quickly as you did means that we probably have a good chance of seeing General Kargan and his aide Roba back up in operations again. So thank you for your speedy response there, Commander. Finally get called for honorable combat instead of all this other weird stuff the Federation throws at me, and I'm too late! Yes, indeed. First the security officers, now this. Great. The Navis is still in orbit? And that's at least something. Okay. These guys are going... They came here after us, but we saw more people racing past the doors, which means they're probably on their way to operations. Commander, and Keth, I think we can take it from here. Thank you very much for your assistance. It seems we're going to need to try and get things organized here. See if you can help those at operations or wherever you feel you need to post yourselves. Whatever else is going on here, we need to get to the bottom of this, and quick, before anything else happens. Thank you for your prompt response again, Commander. As you were. Shorey? Shorey seems a little torn for a moment, like she wants to say something more to Cavall, but obviously there's stuff to do. So she just goes off with the Admiral. Indeed. Yeah, good. Now, I'm going to take us quickly back to the bridge, just so we can get at Ori, seeing how well he manages with getting General Kargan back up to operation. Now, you have the advantage of being on a ship with a fully functioning med bay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask Mike to give us a, let's see. It does have genetics, but this is less genetics and more medical aid. Yeah. Alright, I'll go with that. Genetics does at least leave you to the ability to use the medical computer, so let's go with control and medicine with your focus. And I would like... Let's see... Who hasn't rolled much? Robin's pretty much had a turn, but let's have... Sean, do you fancy being the Navis for me? And I have, what's this going to be? This is going to be sensors and medicine, I think, from the Navis. Rolling 1 dice, but always with focus, as we use the ship's medical computer to assist with what's going on. 3, very, very good, which means full momentum pool again. Ori manages with the help of the nursing staff and, of course, the ship's the sickbay's medical computer to stabilize General Kargan and his assistant Roba. So, luckily, Ori's knowledge of Klingon genetics, which also comes down to the amount of time he spends with Klingon ladies and Klingon men too, as a point of fact, that Klingons are very, very hardy, and they have a lot of redundant organs, which means that they are a lot easier to help from injury than most. So the difficulty was reduced as a result of that. So there you go. Ori, as it turns out, makes for a reasonably decent doctor or nurse. Please don't be a Chancellor Gorkon incident. Oh no. If there's one person on this ship who's as good as Bertram with anatomy, it's all gotta be Ori. Nevertheless, let us now go to operations. Now the situation... Yes, go. Beamed in. Right you are. Considering the situation, yeah, I'm not gonna call for escalation there. The situation definitely calls for it. Character weapons, let's see. So, you've probably already got... Andrews has probably already got one. Edwards has got the sound gun. So does Edwards want to keep the sound gun? Are you giving Mr. Monoko the Type 3 phaser? Okay. He just looks at it and goes, well, it's been a while. Bertram, if we notice, actually most medical personnel now have an addition of a new weapon type, which actually was brought about thanks to Nurse Chapel's antics in Strange New Worlds. So if Gareth looks at his weapons list, he will see that anesthetic hyperspray is in there, so you can actually use your hyperspray as a weapon now. They've finally put it in there. Nova. Does Nova want to go with a Type 3 phaser, or are we sticking to acrobatic brawling? It's pretty good for hitting someone in the face with, because it's got this really large stock, so... So we'll take the Type 3 phaser. Okie dokie. But I will also give you a bludgeon, because that's what you're essentially using it as. So Cool. All right, so when the team going for the operations center gets there, they find actually the doors here are closed. But looking into the operations center through the window of the door, you see that there appear to be a number of personnel down. Most likely the security personnel, but it looks like one of the Klingon operations personnel is also being rendered, well, unfortunately deceased. A number of individuals are all clustered around the central ops console, all of them sat down on the floor with their hands seemingly behind their backs. As well as Starfleet and Klingon operations personnel, you also notice that a couple of individuals in prisoner outfits are also there, sat with the rest. And since you were shown his mugshot by Admiral Hebert earlier when you were discussing him, the spy for the Orions, Lieutenant Ferguson, also appears to be sat there on the floor with his hands bound. But as well as being on the floor with their hands behind their backs, each of these people around the operations console also appears to have some kind of vest with an apparatus attached to it. This apparatus has a number of blinking lights. It appears that they've been fitted with explosive vests. From your vantage point at the door, you can definitely see that there is at least one Orion soldier who's watching the prisoners, but there's also another one along with possibly the hacker you were trailing from before. So I'm going to put his stress down to Richter. And he appears to be furiously working at an ops console. So, with this situation in mind, the door is definitely closed and locked. The Orions seem to have control of ops, and all of these individuals appear to be rigged. What would you like to do? Now, I hasten to also note before I let you loose that Kaval's pal, Dockmaster Kajag, son of Koras, is also here, looking like he's been beaten up a little bit. For those of you who don't remember who Dockmaster Kajag is, when you first arrived on Narendra Station, he was the Klingon who gave you that very Klingon greeting upon your first emergence, and he's usually the one that the voice you hear when you request docking privileges with the station. Or in the case of the Navis, now that it's so goddamn huge, the ability to enter into orbit of the station. Of the station, that usually gets routed through ops. What were you thinking? Hydrazine gas. Now, let's have a look. He can survive anything. Actually, let's not do Star Trek Online. Let's do... where's Memory Alpha? Beg pardon? Acetylene gas, yeah. Oh, here's hydrogen. Let's see. Memory Alpha says... compound that was used aboard a shuttlecraft. You were forced to crash land in an away mission. As a result, the damage caused during landing shuttle be Taan leaking hydrazine, which sounds like it's lethal. So you might not want hydrazine. Anesthetine gas, then. Toxic, yes. Anethazine gas. Okay. Fast-acting anesthetic. Could be administered through environmental systems with a gas, or through a hyperspray with liquid. Okie dokie. So, considering that, I am going to let whoever wants to. I'm going to let Dr. Bertram, along with anybody else who thinks they've got a fairly decent medicine score, to assist. I was thinking more along the line... Well, actually, yeah, I'll allow Nova definitely to assist with this, but using Nova's inner workings focus here. So I'm going to allow Nova to assist with insight and engineering, whereas I want insight and medicine from Dr. Bertram. And I'm going to allow you to use your biotech focus. Nice, one success. Double your focus range, yes. So I think what you can do in that case is when you do perform task, as well as clicking, not kicking, don't kick anything, as well as clicking using focus, try clicking dedicated focus. That might be the thing that gives us the doubled focus range. We'll see if it works. I haven't used it yet. Oh, well, 16 and 15, so whoops-a-daisy. So your focus would have been 10. Unfortunately, you got none of those. But nonetheless, you got a success from Nova. So both Nova and Bertram, looking at the explosive vests that are tied to the prisoners, notice that there appears to be a device that is beeping in time with what looks like their heartbeat. So it stands to reason that if these explosive vests are linked to their heartbeat, if you do anesthetize everybody, that will of course send them into, like, sleep, which would slow down their heart rate. So, with that knowledge... Oof! Right then, that's going to be preservation of life as your value challenged there, I think? You're being yourself, don't worry about it. It's funny. But I do what I usually do, which is threaten to take you literally, so, you know. So, with this in mind, does this change your plan? Does this add to your plan? What would you like to try? Yeah. Indeed. So, what do you think you would like to do? Now, you still do have open contact with the Navis if you want to call in some help. And of course, Caval and Claude and Keth are not far away because the co-head offices are on the same level as operations, so... You don't think so? Well, you know, you can certainly try to create some kind of means of interfering with any kind of remote trigger. Absolutely, you can. Okay. Right, so far, plans are try and use anesthetizing gas, but have to get past the vests. Also can use something to interfere with them, trying to remotely trigger it. All good ideas so far, just the implementation of them. There's also, of course, Webby brought the point, be very surprised if there wasn't some kind of maintenance access that you could use to sneak in there. Definitely sounds like something that, well, it makes sense to me, and definitely sounds like something that, because you've got at least one person here, Nova, who's got a focus in infiltration and definitely is very used to moving about Jeffrey's tubes and the like. All of these could play to your strengths. And, like I've noted, you've got Heth and Caval and Claude on their way. In fact, let's bring them along. Ooh. Certainly a plan. You do have that asset that is unique to you guys. Which will be any time now. Which is why they are now on the map. Okay, so getting in there definitely will be work one. Okay, so I am going to say that with your knowledge of this place, I'm not going to ask for any kind of task role to find a Jeffrey's tube. It makes perfect sense that there would be one, so the Jeffrey's tube access will get you access to essentially these bits here. These stairwells on the top. You could enter through those stealthily. Then maybe use these consoles and bits of crate and boxing and whatever else as cover to position yourselves as you need to. But of course, escaping the notice of the Orions will be the thing. So basically, what's your plan? How would you like to do this? So you've got all these things at your disposal that you've come up with: the anesthetizing gas, the holographic torpedo, infiltrating, trying to set up some kind of interference, so you probably want to get that interference thing set up ahead of time. Same goes for if you want to use the holographic torpedo for anything. Certainly. What do the rest of you think? Nothing? Okay, I'm not hearing any objections. So if somebody introduces themselves to the situation somehow, look at me, I'm a distraction, allowing other folks to maneuver about. So who's going to be the distraction? Who's going to be the others infiltrating as quietly as they can? Okay, so who's going to be the distraction? Mr. Minoko's looking around worried at this point. Yes, that's right. He lost an arm to structural damage during the early days. Nova is your best infiltrator, so she would be definitely the best one at leading the infiltration team in. Kath just looks around and goes, "Oh, for heavens, I'll do it!" So I'm just going to put Kath. So I will put Kath maybe coming into the Jeffries tube on this side then, because there seems to be less cover on this right side. There's definitely more cover with boxes and consoles and stuff on the left side. So I would suggest, of course, with her focus in infiltration, that Nova definitely be on the infiltration team. We've got Edwards, who's volunteered for the infiltration team. Because one assumes at some point there is going to need to be the point at which things kick off and somebody is going to need to come in guns blazing. Doc is probably going to be on the sneaky team in order to try and get at the... Okay. So we'll have... Righty-ho. The first thing we're going to need Edwards to do then is to probably set up that interference doodad, and having help from anybody on the sneaky team would probably be a good plus. Plus anybody on the Navis itself that wants to lend any assistance in some fashion that you would like to, you are still free to. So what I will do is I will put Vibers and Ori's tokens on the map just to represent that you are available via comms. So I'm going to put you back here just so that you've got access to your tokens. No, it's not, but... Yes. So when an allied character in communication with the EXO spends determination, the EXO may spend 3 momentum to enable that character to regain that point of spent momentum. Determination. Okay. So, I don't know if Ori wants to assist Edwards with setting up an interference. Control and... I would say control and science or control and engineering work either for me. I mean, from Ori it's probably going to be the science of it. Since he's going to be probably looking at schematics as a way to try and suggest what kind of device or signal to create. And of course, Edwards is probably going to have to modify his tricorder to emit, or the sound gun, but probably the tricorder to emit the interference field, so. I like that. Yeah, let's go with that. Mhm. You've got the extra point of determination. No, if you remember, in second edition rules, everybody starts with only one determination. If you want to regain, or if you want to gain a point of determination, you basically use one of your values to make life difficult for yourself in a situation, or as a result of one of your values conflicting with a situation, I will sometimes award you a point of determination as a result. Which is a good point, actually. I didn't bring that up for Mike, but then, because the idea... What was that, sorry? So, the idea now is try and have it so that at least one of your values can create difficulty for your character so that you can use it as a means of gaining points of determination. Now, your values, people, person, nothing is beyond repair, helping hand. Let's see what's out there. I mean, people, person can be used against you fairly easily. Yeah, so you don't necessarily need to change any of your values. I mean, some folks here did change one of their values to make sure that they had one that could be used as a means of causing trouble for them. But if you can think of creative ways of using your values to create problems for yourself in order to use it to gain a point of determination, that's cool. But anyway, that's... Yeah, you could end up helping the wrong folks. Or you could want to spend a helping hand. So let's see, we have got... Edwards has got 3 successes. Good grief, good gravy, good gosh. So Ori can roll... Yeah, so if Ori can roll... If we can have 1 dice from Ori using what I suggested, which was control and science using your computer's focus. 1 dice. Nice, 4 successes overall. So you've now created an equipment trait, which I'm going to put here so I remind myself. Which is interference field. Now, you essentially needed 2 to get that. You've got 4. If you let's make it so that since you've got extra successes there, we can increase the intensity of that and create an interference field 2 rather than interference field 1, which means the difficulty for them to try and remotely detonate is now increased by 2. Very nice. Very nice indeed. Okay. Whoops-a-daisy. Didn't mean to do that. Alright, so we've got team run and gun when the lock on the security door, of course, is lifted. Now we're going to have to do team stealth. So, like we've noted, it's Nova that's got infiltration as a focus, so she's probably going to need to lead this, which you'll be doing with control and security. Anybody who wants to assist on the sneaky team can feel free to do so. And the difficulty is going to be determined by these guys. And I'm actually going to spend threat here to give them an extra boost of a dice because they are on the lookout. Ooh, right, so the complication pretty much cancels out the but so it's really 1 success. So as long as the infiltration team gets 1 success or more, you should get in fine. So if we can have Nova's control and security with a focus of infiltration, aided by whoever wants to aid. Anybody with a good security rating, probably like Andrews, would be a useful help. Control and security, basically. 1 dice. Nova's going for Starcross. So, again, Oh, never mind. When you use something to double your focus range, try clicking the, what was it called? Dedicated focus? Yeah. Try tagging dedicated focus as well as focus and see if that works. Okay. But we did get 3 successes overall, which means Team Sneaky Sneak managed to get in. Alright, so you've essentially got Keth coming in, who's going to make a noise with Team Infiltration. So, Team Infiltrate, you come in at this level. Basically position yourselves not too far into the room, behind like a console or a crate or something, so that you're out of direct line of sight on this side of things, so that you're ready to go when you need to. So feel free to position yourselves wherever you want yourselves to be. So Nova's all the way up there, which affords her a very good view of the guards and, of course, what the hacker appears to be doing. Edwards and Andrews are by there in the midline, which means Edwards is in a good position to let off that interference field, which I shall bring with you now. That's your equipment trait. And Bertram is in position. So, Keth comes in loudly, kicking the entrance of the, well, pretending to stumble out of the Jeffries tube and starts yelling about goddamn maintenance hatches. They tell me to fix the damn operations center, and what do I find? Oh, at which point the one of the soldiers races around and levels the disruptor rifle he's holding in Keth's direction, so Keth just kind of slowly puts his hands up. The other one puts himself between Keth and the hacker. Keth is now making a very loud noise as this soldier comes up to him and starts basically yelling at him, asking him questions. Where did you come from? What are you doing here? Why did they send you? This gives Team Infiltrate a chance to do what they want to do outside of being noticed. The hacker has got his back to everybody. Taan soldier is quick to action on the first round. You can keep the initiative. Okay, so what the captain is essentially doing there is giving everybody a chance to act very, very quickly. So, what I'm gonna do then, I'm gonna add folks to initiative in the sense of just so we can track who has acted and who hasn't. I'm not going to add Ori and Vibers to initiative because they don't need to be technically. Nevertheless, alright, so Team Sneak, who's going first? Sure. When you succeed at a task during combat or another perilous situation, you may spend determination. If you do, choose a single ally who can heal you. The next task they attempt counts as having assistance. Okay. So, you are going to have Andrews go first. Nice. So, alright, so Team Sneak has got the drop. It's now your chance to use whatever you need to use to keep the drop on them and to try and secure the hostages and this whole situation. So, off you go. What do you want to do, Andrews? Shoot the hacker. Okay, cool. Now, because they are not aware of you and they are not undercover, you have got the benefit of it being a difficulty 1 shot, and I will say that you can definitely use your minor action to aim, which means that you can re-roll one of your dice when you make the attack. So, control and security, absolutely. That's a very, very good hit. So that is a shot. So that does 5 damage. You needed 2. You got an extra 1, so that's actually 6. He does not have enough stress. Plus, he was caught unawares, which means that he basically. No, I can use. Can I use that? No, I can't. So cool. He is down. So all of a sudden, a shot rings out. The hacker gets hit in the back and just crumples. Same guy as before. Yes. Challenge? No, I don't think you're challenging it. You're actually using it. So, yeah, absolutely. So, you may spend a determination. Yep. So, if you do, choose a single ally, Nova. The next task that ally attempts counts as having presence and command as assistance. So, if you're keeping the initiative, then Nova can go next. Waiting a second. Veteran. So, well, it says there, roll a d20. If it's equal to or less than your control, you regain it. Yes, so you're rolling a d20, and it needs to be equal to or less than your control of 11. So you got a reasonably good... Oh, no, there we go. Alright. Sean, Nova's up. Nova has the element of surprise. And also will get assistance from the captain using this. So, what's Nova going to do? Okay, cool. Which is a good thing. We've done the impossible. So, doesn't know the meaning of impossible. Does. We'll take action disregarding orders if she thinks that she can help. Makes us mighty. Yeah, suggests a certain amount of arrogance going on here, maybe. So yeah, okay, I'll give you that determination point back for making things a little bit more difficult for yourself, because rather than taking advantage of a combat situation, you're instead going straight to discovering what it was that they're doing. So yeah, okay, I will give you. Putting herself in jeopardy, but you still do gain Andrews' assistance. So Nova can use a control and... What do we control in science? No, scratch that. This will still count as security, since that's what the system that they are trying to infiltrate. So you can still use your inner workings for this to try and see what it is they are doing. And I will keep the difficulty to myself, but you've already got one success from Andrews assisting, so go for it. Ooh, hello, Spaghetti-O! That is a lot of successes. Right, so there is a device plugged into the console, and from accessing the commands that the hacker was doing, Nova manages to put together that some kind of computer virus has been installed into the operations system, and it is infiltrating all the major systems as we speak. Since you got 1 momentum over what you needed, I will say you can spend that extra point of momentum that you just gained there from that successful task to see if you can try and slow it down from whatever it's doing, but that'll have to be next turn, which means that we go on to everybody else who is keeping the initiative for free for the moment. So, Team Sneak. Actually, as a minor action while Nova's up there, she could actually open the doors so that Cavall, Monoko, and Claude could get in. So, yes, releasing the lock on the doors, that means that Team Guns Blazing can now come in if they want to. So yeah, so if Caval or Claude or Monoko want to go next, now's the time to do so. Unless, of course, Edwards and or Bertram want to try and do their thing with whatever they wanted to do. Okay, cool. Do you want to... Alright. So, essentially, this is Bertram acting with Edwards' assistance. So you may as well both activate and move over to the console if you want to. Unless Edwards is hanging back. The interference goes off. Nice. Alright then. So, in that case, Bertram is trying to see if he can get these devices off, or interfere with them somehow, especially because they are using heartbeat monitor, which suggests that they are using jury-rigged medical equipment. So, let's see if you can do it. I am going to ask you to... Right, it's going to first require you to understand how the thing is all linked together. So this will require a reason and science from you. Biotech won't work this time, I'm afraid. This is plain old tech. Not necessarily, it's as much a sensor as anything else, but if you really want to go that way, then yeah, okay. Good point. Biomimetic gel. One success. Now, Edwards can assist with this if he wishes, using his engineering expertise. So this will be Reason and Engineering 1 dice using Assistant, so you can re-roll your Assistance D20. Excellent day. So... Okay, so using Science then, that'll do. So, Reason and Science, please. 1 dice. Not sure any of your focuses actually work here. But you can re-roll that, but that's a pretty decent roll. So that was 2 in all. Alright. Yes, so you reason that the vests are made up of some kind of explosives that are linked up to essentially a heart monitor. These are essentially miniature biological sensors. But it does mean that it's also hooked up to like a miniature medical computer, like a medical tricorder, in order to get the monitor for what a baseline heartbeat's going to be, in order for it to trigger an event. If the heartbeat either goes up or down, you're not sure. Your reason that if it goes down is probably the safest bet, because if you're being held hostage with a bomb strapped to your chest, chances are you're going to be a little bit anxious and therefore going to have a high heart rate. So it would make more sense if it was if the heart rate drops. So that you're looking at a medical monitoring device hooked up to some kind of medical scanner, like a medical tricorder, that's then been hooked up to the detonator of this thing. So if you can interfere with essentially the medical tricorder attached to the vests to fool them into thinking that they are registering the safe signal, then next turn you should be able to try and, yeah, basically do that to disarm them. Yeah, essentially. So, that's Bertram and Edwards. We've had Andrews and Nova, so now we've got... Do we want Keth to try anything while he's over there? Actually, that is a good point. Second edition rules regarding supporting characters. Supporting characters, if they're not being actively controlled by a player, will never take actions on their own. They will only ever take actions if the direct action is taken by a commanding officer to force them into do an action, or they will support, they will aid a played character's actions. Now, we do still have Mike and Navis, who can choose to basically play two of the supporting characters in here. You just have to tell me which ones you want to play. So, Mike and Navis, you're free to take control of either Keth or Claude or Monoko. So, who would you like to take control of? You'll pinch Keth. What about you, Mike? Do you want Claude or Monoko? Claude! Of course, Claude. Finally, I get to be Claude! So that's cool. Alright, so Mr. Monoko can aid anybody, so either Caval or Claude or Keth, in the next actions that are taken. So feel free to use him in that regard. So, of Claude or Thazanan or Keth who are remaining, who wants to go first? Not Claude. Okay, so either, I mean, Jan, you could come in guns blazing and try and hurt this guy, or Navis, you could try and take that guy out with Keth. It's up to you. Claude can definitely try and just punch someone in the face. Absolutely, he can. Ready? Yes. Well, the entire middle bit here, ringed by the fencing, is its own zone. So you can get into the zone around the central command station. Alrighty, so we're activating Caval. Yep. Yay. Alright, that's a boom and a boom and a boom, which means that is 3. You needed 2, so that's a successful hit. What are you using again? The sound gun or the rifle? Sound gun, okay. Tuned to Orions, which you did, pardon me, did ahead of time. Groovy. Do you want to spend a point of momentum to include an additional target? This guy here? You know, he just kind of swings it round his head. Maybe. Exactly. Okay. Alrighty, so if you could do the damage for the sound gun for me. Right, this guy is going to use re-stress to avoid injury. As the sound gun goes off and he clutches his ears. Ah! Right, who of the next lot would like to go? Do you want Claude to have a go? Do you want Keth to have a go? Claude. Let's go, Claude. Okay, so like with Fazanan, Claude can move anywhere in this kind of area. Position himself anywhere up this way. It can try and attack either of the remaining Orion Taan soldiers. So would you like to go for the one that's already been targeted by Fazanan, or would you like to go for the one closer to Keth? Let's try and hit the one with Keth. Okay. So this is going to be this guy over here. So, I will require from Claude a control and security check. Difficulty 2. Hang on, what's this? I'm just reading Claude's close protection talent. When you make a successful attack, you can spend a momentum to protect a single ally within close range. So he can also protect Keth if the Orions retaliate. Nice. Claude has got phasers, handheld phasers as a focus, so definitely can shoot with focus. 2 dice, control and security. Off you go. That's pretty darn good. So, yeah, 3 successes. You needed 2, so you can put that extra 1 into extra damage. So, find me... Oh, he's only got type 2. Let me give him a type 3. Hold on. Didn't give him a big enough weapon. There, type 3. Feel free to use the type 3. So, press the button for the type 3 phaser. Basically, it's icon. That's it, that's the one. So it actually does 6 damage. This guy is going to use stress to avoid an injury, but it takes a lot of stress to avoid injury from a shot like that. Woo! Which leaves us with Keth. Now, Keth can have assistance from Mr. Monoko, since Mr. Monoko hasn't acted yet. Right, so... Okay. Well, Mr. Monoko rolls a 10, so you've automatically got 1 success. This guy is kind of surprised, so hasn't got cover or anything like that. So the difficulty is going to be 1, so whatever Keth rolls from here on out is actually extra, an added extra, so... Yes. Right, so what that means is that rather than spending a point of momentum from the pool, you actually give me a point of threat. But that now means that Warrior's Spirit is activated, so when you make a melee attack or are targeted, and you buy 1 or more d20s by adding to threat, you can re-roll the entire dice pool. Cool. Entirely up to you. I mean, this is the first action Keth has had in a long time, so if he's going to go all out, he may as well go all out. But you haven't... So, if you remember, the way determination now works is that if you do spend a point of determination to add to this attack, reduce the number of dice you're rolling down by 1, because one of them will be automatically turned into a 1, because that's how determination works now. Rather than adding a dice and making it roll a 1 automatically, it will take one of your existing dice and make that a roll. I don't think you would. Bada boom! Okay, so that's 2 successes overall. You only needed 1 because you're catching the guy off guard. Because he didn't expect Starfleet guys to come in guns blazing and all that stuff. You caught them completely by surprise. So you do get an extra... you got 1 over what you needed. You can throw that into extra damage for whatever's coming up. So what is he using? Is he using an armed strike or is he using his duck targ? Okay. Stabby! Which means that the guy has to use all of his stress to avoid taking injury from that, so he's got no stress left, which means the next shot that hits him takes him down. Alright, so that was your surprise round, which means we now go into the proper round. So, that was one hell of a... It's one hell of a surprise round. So, who wants to start things off on the proper round? Nova's not in hand-to-hand, actually. She is busy on the control console on operations, so... Okay, we're activating Keth first. Once again, Mr. Monoko is here to aid anybody who needs aiding, so do we want him to aid with this, or do we want to save him to aid with something else? I don't think it's challenging the value, no. Today's a good day to die, as far as I'm concerned, is the Klingon excuse for let's have a fight. So Mr. Monoko is indeed using presence and command to basically cheerlead Keth on for this one. So there you go, there's a success for you already. Now, this guy does know you're there, so he is going to now use daring and security to make it so that this is a contested task, which means Keth has to get over 1, which he's already got from Mr. Monoko, so whatever Keth adds to this is going to be extra. You need to spend... Oh! Today's a good day to die! Alright, 3 successes means you got 2 over what you needed. You may as well throw them both into damage, but you don't need to because he's got no stress left. He takes an injury and therefore is incapacitated. And by incapacitated, I mean stabbed. He was run through by Keth's duck targ. Well, you know, these guys have got hostages, they've killed people already. I think we can definitely argue self-defense, and, you know, Keth Klingon. So, who wants to go next? Speaking of Seifu Shaktors, there's 1 guy remaining. It's engineering your death. Right, who wants to go next? Oh yeah, good point, pardon me. Right, yes, woo, surprise, what's going on? People shooting at me. Right, actually the first thing he's going to try and do is activate the detonator, which means he needs to use control and security, but the difficulty has gone up by 2. Let's see if he manages it. No, he doesn't! So he kind of holds the disruptor rifle with one hand, pulls out a device from his pocket and starts pressing the switch as he just basically holds it above his head and goes, "Top!" and presses the button. Nothing happens. Taan? 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 So, yeah. He has, he's now going to try and use a minor action. Minor actions, minor actions. Actually, that was his minor action. He interacted with it, but he tried to get over the thing, so it had to be an action. Okay. Not much more he can do unless I... Yeah, I think I'm gonna have to. It's going to be a momentum spend. I'm gonna spend 2 threat so that he can use another major action, which is essentially to shoot with his disruptor rifle. Targets. We've got lots and lots of targets. We've got Nova behind, but people who are shooting at him are right in front, so... Let's go with Claude, the one who shot at him. No, the one who he shot at the Taan soldier, so it's going to have to be Thazanan, actually. The one who used the sand gun on him. So this guy is going to take major action to do control and security, but it's going to be a bit tougher to do since he's already tried something once. So because of that, I'm going to use another point of threat to add a dice. He has got the focus of disruptors, so we're going to go with that. We are firing at Thazanan. Ooh, hello! Thazanan has no cover, therefore it's difficulty 2, and I got 4 over what was needed. Well... So, Thazanan, bad news. I am actually going to keep 2 of those extra 4, so I can put them back into threat. So I actually add 2 to make it a 7. Karagai Order of Heroism. Well, you haven't suffered an injury because you can spend stress to avoid an injury. Then avoid an injury. Okay, once permission you can avoid an injury. Once permission... And it doesn't say you have to spend anything, so okay. So basically using the Karagai Order of... So you brandish your medal at him. So it's probably more like a last second kind of dodge out of the way, which means that the disruptor shot explodes on the console behind Caval as that near miss absolutely obliterates the console. Could have taken Thazanan out if he hadn't have made that heroic dive at the last second. Oof. Well, yes, exactly. At which point one of you can go next now. So either Caval can return the favor, or maybe Andrews can help cover somebody. Bertram can, of course, with maybe help from Edwards, try and take out these bombs. Claude could go again. Anything you want. Claude? Should we Claude first and see how well that goes? And of course, let's not forget Nova. Okay, we shall indeed Claude first. Alright, Claude... Claude can use a minor action to aim, which means you can re-roll one of your dice if you want to. Since he's got a pretty good line on his target right there. So I would suggest, yes, using a minor action to aim. So Claude can once again use 2 or more if you want to buy with momentum. Or, you could, no, actually Mr. Minoka's already gone, hasn't he? Yes. So, control and security from Claude with a focus. If you want to buy any extra dice with momentum, you can if you wish. Entirely up to you. Nope, he's going off of talent alone and gets 2 successes, exactly what was needed. So that is phaser rifle, or Type 3 phaser, I should say. On the money hit, so that is 5 damage. The guy has got 1 stress point left to avoid injury with, so he just about ducks out of the way as the shot rings off of the railing rather than himself, but it was a very near miss. So we have now clawed it. There's no other enemies left to go, so it's entirely up to you who wants to go next. Go now? Okay. Andrews is in. As a minor action, you can move into this zone if you really want, so you can close the distance. Pardon me. Okay, so he's not got any cover at the moment because he's not taking any cover, so it is difficulty 2 with control and security as per usual. Oh, that looks like... oh yes. So that's 3 successes, 1 over and above what you needed, 1 extra point can go into damage. It is a 5 damage weapon. Makes it 6. This guy is down. Down and out. Defeated, not dead. Which means we can now get to Edwards and Bertram and Nova trying to do what they're doing. So let's get to you guys. So who wants to go first? Disarming the bombs or trying to stop or slow down the computer virus? Okay. Alrighty doos. So you're essentially trying to dummy the medical tricorders that are attached to these vests into thinking that you're essentially looping the sensor feed so that it thinks that they are still at the same level of heartbeat that they are currently. So this is going to be definitely control and engineering from Edwards. I'm going to allow control and medicine from Bertram. I'm going to make this difficulty... I'm going to spend a threat and make it difficulty 4. It's entirely possible that the wording for jury rig was sharpened up so that it was more limited as a result. Oh, well, now you've just given me a challenge, haven't you? So, control and engineering for Edwards, control and medicine from Bertram. Whichever one of you wants to lead can lead. I don't think either of you really have focuses that could be used here, because this is monkeying with medical tech. Okay, yeah. I can go with that, because it is like, yeah, kit-bashed kind of explosive vest. So yeah, if you want Edwards to take the lead in this because he's got a focus, that's fine. Excellent. Now remember, this is difficulty 4 now. Actually, no, scratch that. Difficulty 3, but the complication range has gone up. Which means it's now 19 or 20. Yes, please. Alright then. Oh! Nice. Alright then. So there is this rather tense moment where just as you are switching over the feed to be on a loop, there's a moment on this poor guy's vest when the guy starts to panic and goes, "What are you doing? Don't monkey with it. You're gonna set it off." At which point his heartbeat starts to skyrocket, and he moves. And you just about keep him just about flick the switch, and change the circuit at the last minute as he starts to squirm. No, it's this guy. This regular prisoner. Your regular ne'er-do-well. And if you want to make a note of that in your character log, personal log, make sure to. Right then. Meanwhile, what has Nova been doing? So, let's definitely use your inner workings focus here, and we're going to try and, well, actually, what would you like to do, Sean? Ooh, like, so try and create a false partition kind of thing. Right, gotcha. Nice. Okay. Inner workings would be nice for that one. So yeah, this is going to be control and definitely engineering, computer engineering kind of jobby here. So let's go with, let's make this a difficulty 2, because you are quite good at this kind of thing, to set up this snare. Star cross W focus range. So when you perform task, also check dedicated focus. So we'll see if that does its job. Control and engineering, because you are engineering a computer partition here to make it a snare. Oh, so far all the rules have been outside of the bounds. I can't tell. You want to re-roll that, so you can spend a point of determination. Which value are you using? Well, you know, you don't have to tell me. Just make a note that you've done it. Yeah. I mean, I would imagine you would know how it works, but yeah, that's fine. Oof! Right, there's a complication. I'll tell you what. If you leave that complication, especially considering you've just done how does this work as your value, I will allow you to gain a point of determination back, but the complication has to stay. Alright then. Okay then. So, Nova is there trying to create a like false partition and being an enticing little target for this computer virus to seep into. And for a moment it does seem to work. It does infiltrate the partition and then tries to take over this like dummy ghost operating system that you've set up. Unfortunately, it seems that the computer virus was a lot more complex than Nova was potentially expecting, and it overtakes the entire partition very, very quickly. And because Nova had created it as such a good facsimile of an operating system, not only does it get loose, it now has a better idea of how to take control of these station systems. Which is precisely what happens. So, unfortunately, all the control consoles in the operations center now come over all red and start to crackle a little bit as this computer virus starts to infiltrate all the various control systems. Which means that... let me think. You've already done all this, which is nice. Okay, so the system, the station has now essentially lost sensors, has also lost communications. So most of the power goes out of the major systems, and for whatever reason, the life support, well, life support's still operational, is operating normally. But the majority of the security systems have now gone offline, so the internal sensors, all that kind of stuff, have unfortunately turned off. So you've got that little situation to deal with now. Well, yes, you do have the advantage of the Navis being outside of your locus of control. No, inside your locus of control, outside of the station's locus of control. So yes, you do have that. The station, in a bit of a, having a bit of a moment. But even though Nova did fudge that trap, what you did manage to capture inside of that partition seemed to be a computer virus with a set number of targets. You've just discovered them. Sensors, mostly internal sensors, and external sensors have been taken off. Security systems have been compromised, and therefore using command codes and whatnot will not work. But it seems that they have definitely, the worm was definitely made with the intention of blinding security forces to what's going on the station, but also as to what's going on outside the station. So, with that in mind, what I'm going to do now is take us on a little trip to the Navis. So, back in the command bridge of the Navis, Commander Vibers and Lieutenant Orion and the rest of their staff, of course, are all working, keeping an eye on what's going on, and all of a sudden, of course, sensors read that the majority of the systems on the station have now just gone away, gone completely offline. But that's not before Lieutenant Orion's station reads that the station has just beamed somebody from Narendra Station into the main engineering of your ship. At which point, we move very quickly to main engineering. Now I have to check, is Keth here? Keth is not here. Yes, you put security people on the main entrances to the ship. Therefore, your chief engineer is by here checking over the warp core when all of a sudden a team of Orions and another one of those reptiloid chameleonic hackers beams in, and they just start spraying the place with shots. This fella has to duck for cover as each of these guys, basically in a line, do, I'm not sure what they call it, but if you've seen it in like action movies and stuff like that, when you have like a line of guys with machine guns, if you've seen Captain America Winter Soldier, it's like 4 or 5 guys in a line with automatic weapons, and they just keep advancing forward as they let sporadic shots off to make sure that they keep everybody under cover, basically, as they advance. Yeah, so they are advancing forward, shooting at pretty much anybody who pokes their heads up as they start proceeding forwards. So, Ori and Vibers are on the bridge. They've just now gotten an intruder alert. So, the first couple of seconds of the Orions beaming in and starting to cover the place with suppressing fire has happened. What would Vibers and Ori like to do? Because bearing in mind, at the moment, the team on the operations center are now doing their fix to the other vests to try and remove the bombs from all the other folks. So they're a bit busy. Alright, so you're taking Commander Bravo of Security, which means you are reducing your number again. That's cool. We do... Cool. What I need to do, actually, then, is to gift Bravo the... what is it called? The role benefit of Chief of Security. Which means that you reduce the opportunity cost of weapons and security teams by 1 to a minimum of 0. So what you're essentially gaining is a trait, security team. So rather than filling the map with a bunch of mooks, these will essentially count as assistants, automatic assistants. Turin can have the con, but or I will be second in command. So, any other... I mean, Mike, that means you can take control of Bravo Chief of Security. Does anybody else think that their character... I mean, Stevens could very well be in main engineering if you want Stevens to be in engineering, Webby. Okay, cool. So, anybody else want to add a? I mean, Sean, would Unit Hello want to get involved with his Type 1 phaser? Stay on ops. Okay. They're very close to the core, though, so that could cause interference. Natik was basically guarding the door to the ship, so let's just go with bringing these three into the situation we'll go for, because we're going to have Bravo Chief of Security there, Chief of Engineering, pardon me, there as well. So these guys are going to be coming down. Stevens could be on a console, let's say this one. Bravo, of course, comes with his own team of security guys, which will basically count as automatic assistance. So, a dice that rolls an automatic success, essentially. So, let's do this thing. Yep. Does Vibers want a Type 3? Stevens, unfortunately, is going to have to grab a Type 2 from the nearby phaser lockers, rather than being able to grab a Type 3 because they are easier to put in lockers than anything else. So there you go, at Type 2. So, if you go to Items, Second Edition, Character Weapons. Can't see that? Alright then, I will add that so you can see. So you can see that now, yes? Walls. Better add character armor as well, actually. Rudy! Alright, so let's add these guys. Actually, let me lessen the amount of... I'm going to consider the Taan soldiers all as working as a single unit. Right, so we've got Stevens, we got Bravo of Security, we got Vibers. Does anybody want to be Chief Engineer, Bravo? Okay, so we'll at least have one of our supporting characters played. Which means we are using up another one. Kind of by necessity, so I'm being a bit unfair here, but go with it. Right, so we have got Bravo, Chief Engineer, we've got Bravo, Chief of Security, we've got Vibers himself, and we've got Stevens. Are the rest of you who don't have anyone to control sure you're okay with not having anybody? Alright. Okay. So, the guys have just come down, so another basically turn of them advancing. They seem to be advancing towards the warp core, which means these guys have basically had to take cover behind the core itself. These guys are not shooting the core, but they are firing wildly at people the moment they stick their heads up to keep people pinned down. This guy is following on behind them. So that's when Vibers and Chief Bravo of Security get here. So, let's start things off. Whom of you wants to go first? Vibers, or Bravo of Security, or Bravo Chief Engineer, or Stevens? Bravo of Security. Alright then, what would we like Bravo of Security to do? These guys have come in guns blazing. Alright, so you can move pretty much anywhere within this area, since that's where you've just landed. So feel free to place yourself anywhere you want. Since they are shooting, cover would not be a bad idea. So you can use consoles like that or like this for cover. You can get cover in the doorway or that doorway. Anywhere you'd like. Standing out in the open is probably not a good idea. Okay. You can absolutely use that for cover. So, that was your minor action to move behind cover, which means you can use your major action to shoot. So you can choose, this guy has got cover, these guys are not taking cover at all, they are just walking forwards in a line, firing en masse at whoever pokes their head up. Cool. So, basically aim for one of them, and we'll just, because they all count as a single. Go John Woo on this. That's fine. So basically, control and security using Bravo's focus of hand phases and difficulty 2. So you got a 6 and a 15, which is 2 successes, which means that is a definitive hit. So, got on the money. You can use basically the Type 3 phaser, which does 5. This guy will, unless you want to spend, it's actually 2 points of momentum to up the damage. Or you're alright keeping it at 5. If you want, if everyone's okay with you spending 2 points of momentum, you could up it to a 6 damage weapon. Ready, so it goes up to 6. So what is it? This is a deadly stun, so using it on stun, I take it, or whatever. It's accurate. What does accurate give you? I mean, you got 2, but you never know. Accurate, accurate, accurate. Accurate gives us... Well, if Star Trek Picard Season 3 is anything to go by, at some point later on, they do get shotguns. So, main animation, you reroll 2, you didn't use an aim, so okay. You haven't used charge because you haven't used the prepare minor action to change it. So for the moment, that just stays with 6 damage. So one of these guys has to use stress in order to avoid taking an injury. They now know you are there. So unless you're spending momentum, 2 momentum to keep initiative, which I don't think Vipers has got anything to do with that, has he? No. It's going to be them next. So now the soldiers go next, and they kind of all, as one, they all wheel around and start blasting the console here, aiming for Chief Bravo. Now, because Bravo has got cover, that now means that the ranged attack becomes against Bravo's control and security. So can I have you roll control and security 2 dice again, please, Mike, for Chief Bravo? Let's go with yes. Security protocols, if anything else. He does have a determination if you want to spend it to re-roll that 20. Because his duty is to protect the crew. Even better. Okay, use one of Orion. Use a Legion of Honor. There we go. So he hasn't spent the determination. Cool, good. All right, but he got 2 successes, so that's now what these guys need to beat. But they are all assisting the same guy. So whenever you attempt to task one department, you buy one of them by adding to threat. Single tenant hospitality. So they are all assisting. So they've given him 1, 2, 3. Actually, what was it? They all count as giving him 1 assistance dice. So it's essentially rolling 3 dice for free. They are going to attack back. Pew, 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 pew. So they got exactly on that. So let's see. Resolve the attack. If the attack succeeded, you inflict an injury upon. So the difficulty was 2, because you rolled 2. They got 2, so that means that Disruptor Rifle. Now, because Chief Bravo is a supporting character with more than 1 value, he has a full stress track, which means he can use all of his stress track to evade that injury. So he goes down to 4 stress. Now, range attack. Resolve the attack. If it succeeds, you inflict injury. If the attack was an opposed task and the target won, you didn't. Okay. So basically, as he Bravo let loose a shot, just barely missed one guy who somehow heard it coming. All 4 of the Orion guys turn around and just fill the air near Bravo with fire, and he has to duck down as the console just takes an incredible amount of shots from these 4 guys just blasting away. Thankfully, no, but it's getting chunks blown out of it currently. So, who wants to go next? Stevens, Chief Engineer Bravo, or Vipers? Sure. Yep. Ooh. You're going to have to make it over to a console in order to do that. But yes, rerouting, basically redirecting power. So let's make it Chief Engineer Bravo. You can move over to any of these nearby wall consoles, or the one over here even, if you really want to. But one would imagine getting the hell away from guys filling the air with disruptor fire. Let's go with control and engineering with focus on electroplasma power systems. I'm going to make this difficulty 2. Okay. So remember to decrease the number of dice by 1 and tag that you're using determination. Yes, please. So essentially rerouting power to feed through that. 2 successes. How much did I say I wanted? I don't think I did I? So 2 on the bean will do. Alright, so an explosion, which means he is going to have to spend a lot of stress to avoid taking an injury from that, as the console just basically goes up. As he basically took the same amount of fire as he would from a phaser rifle, so kaboom! That console is going to need repair, but for now, that's not so much of a concern. So yes, that control console is now no longer usable. So now it's the hacker's turn, unless you're spending 2 momentum to keep the initiative. Nope. Alright. 2. Okay, yep, 2 momentum, which means you're down to 2 momentum. Righty-ho. Okay, remember. No, sadly not. Because even though you've got a focus for shipboard tactical systems, this isn't, you know. Yeah, no, absolutely not, sadly. So, there we go. That bonus momentum can't be saved, one would imagine. Correct. It has to be used for whatever you're doing. Since you haven't moved, you can use a minor action to aim. Or you can use a minor action to change the... Aim allows you to re-roll one of your dice when you try and hit. However, let me also note that a phaser rifle has the charge ability on it, which means that if you use the prepare minor action, you can add the area, intense, or piercing quality to the weapon. Area obviously meaning you can get more than one person. Intense, meaning that you can increase the severity of the damage by spending 1 momentum rather than 2. Or piercing lets you ignore any protection they're wearing. Yes, essentially. So rather than only gaining 1, you would gain 2. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that works. Very good. Okay, yeah. Changing the charge of the weapon. You still need to roll control and security at a difficulty of 2. You get 3. So that extra 1 can go back into the momentum pool if you wish. Seeing as you... Okay. Those 2 that you can add to the damage. 7. Okay, nice, 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 which means he has got not enough stress to be able to avoid that injury, so he is taken down. Defeated, not dead, but yes, very nicely done. Kaboosh! Cool. Which means the only one left to go is Stevens. Anything Stevens would like to do? Shoot! Okie dokie. Yes, please. Yes, okay, so you get to re-roll 1 dice. When shooting, what are you doing? Pulling out a power line and then jabbing it with it? Sorry. You rolled a 1, what more do you need? Nice, those are 2 successes, which means you hit. Get the dice out of the way. So that was a nice old hit there. So that does 4. That's more than he can use to avoid it, so that guy's down. Cool. Defeated, not dead. So let me instead add this guy. Cool, nicely done. Does Stevens want to move anywhere? Good point. Well, you can spend a momentum to use another minor action if you wanted to, but other than that. These guys are going to... Well, no. These guys seek cover. This guy's still seeking cover here. Okay. Next round. Still 3 Orion guys. Who of you guys would like to go first? Commander, the Chief of Security. Okay. Come on then, Chief. Let him have it. Mike, you with us? That's okay. Let's shoot somebody. Okay, so difficulty 2. Control and security with a focus. Anything else you want to add to it? Yep. One success. Okie dokie. So that was a near miss, I am afraid. Pew pew. Did you use aim? I don't think you did anything, did you? So you can choose to either use... you may as well use aim to re-roll that 18. So, press the re-roll results button, choose 1 dice, and remember to tag focus. Oh, still... worse! Okay, never mind. The fates were against you, so it doesn't... It doesn't surprise... It makes sense, because this guy's being shot at by like 3 or 4 guys, and the console above him is exploding, so Bravo just kind of jumps up, takes a shot, ducks down again. Kind of a wild shot, doesn't manage to hit anything. Okay. Now it's these guys. So now I'm gonna add them individually, because now it's a total different kettle of fish. Move. Which one's this guy? This one. He's going to move, going to grab a device, and as a result I'm going to need to spend threat to use another minor action to get him to move over to the warp core. And I'm going to spend another point of threat to use another minor action to attach a device to the warp core. And then I'm going to spend... is it 1 or 2? I think it's 2. 2 threat to add a major action, in which case... Two successes. Okay. A device on the warp that was just placed on the warp core activates. Everybody holds their breath as there's a sudden horrid realization that they've attached something to the warp core, and is it going to explode and kill us all? But then, when the device is planted on the warp core and this guy presses the switch to activate it, the warp core thrums a couple of times, and then with a click of everything just powering down, it goes off. Power to the whole ship has just gone gadonk out. Now, you do still have reserve power. Your main warp power has been knocked out as the warp core itself has just shut down. That was this guy's action. What would you guys like to do now? You've still got Stevens, Chief Engineer Bravo, and Vibers. What would folks like to do? Who would like to go next? I mean, the good news is, it doesn't look like things are going to explode. So what would somebody like to try next? Otherwise, I'm going to go for Stevens being the next act because she's got the next highest. Excuse me. Okay, what I will allow you to do then is... I will allow... Well, we'll say we're activating Chief Engineer Bravo. And I will allow you to use... warp field theory as your focus, actually. And it's... reason and engineering. Difficulty... 1. Nevertheless, can I get Chief Engineer Bravo to give me a 2 successes, 1 over and above what you needed? Nice. Right. From the minimum response that you're getting from things, whatever the device they attach to the warp core basically reset everything. So the warp core has been powered down and needs to be reactivated, which is not exactly a rapid process. So the warp core needs to be brought back online, which means that it needs to be, you know, the reaction, the matter-antimatter reaction needs to be restarted. The safety systems need to be re-engaged, and then warp power needs to be brought online. The main computer also needs to be brought back online because everything's just had a sudden reset. With that in mind, the Taan soldiers go next, and I am going to say that they basically stop advancing and just stand there pointing their blasters, their disruptor rifles, pardon me, threateningly at everyone, and orders everybody not to move. So whether or not you guys capitulate to not moving, or if you're going to continue offering resistance, is entirely up to whoever goes next. We've still got Vibers and Stevens if they want to do anything. I mean, Vibers is in a command position, so... Tell you what I'm going to do then is these guys are ordering you to stand down, and I got a complication, so... They try and threaten everybody with staying down, or they're going to shoot, but you're not entirely convinced by what they just said. It is odd that they've suddenly stopped their filleting the place with fire, so whatever you decide to do next is entirely your prerogative. So, Stevens or Vibers, what would you like to do? Well, Vipers has already changed his weapon settings, so he's got that going for him. Alrighty. Get your hands off my nacelles. Yeah? Okay. So, if you want, you can pretty much use your... Tell you what, make your attack. See how you do. Control and security. There's 4 momentum in the pool. One for the first dice, 2 for the second dice, 3 for the third dice. So if you spend 1 momentum, you can get 1 extra d20 to roll. Okay. That's a good point, actually. You're challenging your value by making this attack. Okay, I'll give you that. I will award you that determination, but remember to make a note that this happened. But that can happen after we do this. Which is... Oh, hello! Very, very good. 3 successes. In that case... I will raise and knock. When you succeed at a task where you purchase 1 or more d20 of momentum, you generate a bonus momentum. Ooh, that means that the extra one and the one you actually generated means you can shoot all 3 remaining Taan soldiers, and I will say that they're not even trying. They all basically get stunned. You've rendered them all. Nice wide-angle shot. You have basically gunned them all down. They didn't, suspiciously, they didn't put up much of a fight at the end there. But before you do that... Yes, you've got reserve power. Absolutely, you've still got reserve power. It's just that your systems have been shut... You haven't lost power, just someone hit the restart button. Someone basically hit Control-Alt-Del. Which makes sense with what Nova has discovered, what the computer virus was trying to do. Because now you have a station that has had its security, its internal sensors and external sensors reduced down, and its security protocols compromised. And with everybody in the operations area, the guys who were freeing them from these vests do manage to free them from their vests. Unfortunately, the moment Lieutenant Carl Ferguson is freed from his vest, so we'll have Bertram and Edwards by there, Claude keeping an eye on everybody, Keth is just basically very pleased with himself, Cavall loitering around doing what he's doing, Andrew's probably up around here so she can keep an eye on what's going on. with the situation coming in as you receive it over comms, Ferguson, as he's now starting to panic. It seems his heartbeat's extremely elevated, and he's basically crawling. You know, please, no, you can't. I have to die. You have to kill me. They told me if I didn't die, they would kill my family. Come on, you have to let me go. And it's at that point that he makes to wriggle out of his bonds. Absolutely. I'm going to make the difficulty for doing that a 1. Because he is now reaching for Edwards' phaser. So this is going to be control and medicine from you with 3 successes. He's not got any cover, so you get 1 point of momentum that you can either put back to the pool, or you can add it to the extra damage to your anesthetic hyperspray. Phaser on stun at close range can be lethal. We established this in Star Trek 6. What was I saying? Yes, go on. Well, we've established that the vests have been taken off now, so you're safe with that. So you're good. You're good there. The anesthetic hyperspray has got what qualities? Cumbersome, that's what I was looking for, as well as intense. Cumbersome means that you have to take a prepare minor action, so your minor action has to be to whip out the anesthetic hyperspray. Intense means that you can increase the severity of the damage by spending 1 momentum rather than 2. So you can up the damage with that extra 1. So go for it. 3, which becomes essentially a 4. Okay, so... Well, that's it, you've just done it. So you've got 3 successes, you needed 2 to hit, so you've got 3 damage, but because of the weapon has got intense, you can spend that extra 1 momentum on giving it 4 damage instead, or you can put that point back in the momentum pool. Okay, I am going to roll that he's not using his stress pool in this. You do. So Edwards pretty much puts his hand, clamps his hand over his holster with the phaser is to stop Ferguson getting the phaser free. And then Bertram comes in with the anesthetic hyperspray and knocks him unconscious. And it's at this juncture that... let's say Nova's had direct access to the computer. Can I get Nova to, one last thing, to give me a control and engineering check with inner workings as a focus, please? So, whoa, very nice. So you got 1 over what I needed for you to get there, so I think I'll put that into momentum. So I was assuming that whilst all this was going on, Nova was trying to actually regain some level of control as to what was going on, or at the very least find out what the computer virus was up to. So you just got managed to get some small level of control back, whereupon analyzing the code for the virus, you found that the first thing it did was disable all internal sensors from anywhere around the primary science labs of Narendra Station. And sure enough, from managing to get a degree of control back, you are reading that their internal sensors are now reading damage and downed downed individuals in the station science labs, which Lieutenant Edwards spends a good deal of time down there because that's where Dr. Taliaferro has her base of operations. But that's where we stop for this evening, I am afraid. So, Orions have come in and infiltrated the base, and they obviously managed to get into the operations center and took hostages, whilst also implanting a computer virus that turned off essentially the security systems of the station. At a similar kind of time, they sent people in to try and reset the Navis, and it turns out that all of this may have been because they are going for the science labs. But whatever could the Taan Orions want with what's in the science labs? I guess we'll have to wait. I guess we'll have to wait to find out for next time. Very good point. So, unless anybody has got anything they would like to add to the end of this here, I will say we're going to have to wait until next time to find out what happens to all of these and who gets out alive. So far it's looking good, but what is actually going on? In the meantime, we hope you enjoyed that episode. Again, our first real full-length episode now using 2nd edition rules. Still getting used to it, as is obvious, but coming along. So those of you who did tune in to the stream, thank you very much for watching. We hope you enjoyed it. Hopefully my crew did too. We haven't finished this episode yet, so hopefully next time we will. When that will be will require a bit of discussion with the guys after the stream is finished. But until then, we ask you to do like the Vulcans do, which is to live long and prosper. But yeah, also to take the command chair from the science officer when he's not entirely sure he wants to wear the hat of blame, because somebody's got to. But also to engage in infinite diversity and infinite combinations. Look after yourselves in these crazy, crazy times, and we will hopefully see you next time. Until then, hailing frequencies are closed. Okay, so as promised, this is the summary, which is coming in at the end of this video, just for those who wanted to skip straight to the end and find out what happened, rather than watching through a video where it's just me and responding to voices you can't hear. So, as succinct a summary as I can make it, the Taan faction of Orions had taken hostages. The operations center strapped them with bombs that would go off if the prisoners' heart rates lowered. So the crew had to get around that problem of trying to, 1, rescue the hostages, and 2, disarm the bombs without anything going up. And of course there was also the instance of, whilst in the operations center, the Taan's computer hacker was placing a computer virus into the operations control computer of the entirety of Narendra Station in order to shut down internal and external sensors and turn off security protocols. Whilst this was going on, they also sent a boarding party into the Navis's engineering section so that they could essentially hit the big reset button on the Navis. So they powered the Navis down to just auxiliary power, turning off the warp core so that the Navis crew would have to go through the whole rigmarole of restarting the thing from scratch, which of course would take time, giving the Taan Orions time to do whatever it is they're really after. And at the end, as you probably can hear from the audio that I gave at the end of the session, that yes, it seems that the primary place they were concerned with making sure there were no security protocols active, and indeed internal sensors active, was the science wing of Narendra Station. What could the Taan be after? Well, as one of my players rightly pointed out, that's where a lot of the Tilikal artifacts are. So let's see what happens. But that's the basic summary of everything that happened. So once again, apologies for the wonky audio for that, and I will just have to get better at this next time. This is, however, like I said before at the start, an archive mostly, so I'll keep this around in this unaltered state for posterity and for showing that I'm not afraid to make mistakes and show it. So there we are. Thank you for watching if you did, and hopefully this summarized things succinctly enough. See you next time.